Hello, welcome back to yet another video, and obviously today we're talking about the video side of this lens, the 28-70 f2. And you know, we'll just go ahead and say right off the bat, this is one of my favorite lenses I've ever used, especially for weddings, because it just helps. There's sometimes you just get in those situations where you just need a little bit more light than an f2.8, and then now you're stuck swapping lenses or bumping up your ISO when you don't really want to. And this just gives you enough versatility video wise to just dodge that. And I have tons of example footage I'll be showing, so don't worry. It's a wedding I just recently shot with it, and the first thing I kind of want to go over is how the setup looks, so let's get into that. First things first, I obviously have it in a small rig cage with the V-mount battery plate. I use the VB99 Pro, I think. Yeah, it's the Pro one, and that guy just hangs out right there, plugged into the side. So usually that's the base, and then I add in the Sony top handle, so it kind of looks a little more like this. And then obviously have the Rode NTG 4 Plus. I do like the way this mic does sound, and because I shoot primarily weddings, like this wind muff has saved my life so many times. So this obviously goes on the top handle. So this is the rig we're looking at. This is what I run around with for about 90% of the wedding day when I'm doing videos. So even though he does get a little bit heavy throughout the day, I'll show you a few clips that aren't stabilized in post, just everything in camera. And this is with active steady shot, so it does give you a 1.1 times crop, which makes the 28 about a 30 mil, which for me, I like the way this looks. For my wider shots, it's like wide enough to where it's not distorted or anything like that. I don't have to worry about trying to fix any distortion in post when it comes to video for this lens, which is great, thank goodness.
I feel like you're getting ready to drop the next Fire Country album.
And then the nice thing is, on the telephoto end, even though the lenses comes out just a little bit, it doesn't like get in the way of anything, and it doesn't make the entire rig like front heavy, which is super nice. So I know the main thing that people are probably wondering about this lens is how is the autofocus, and I will tell you right now, if you've used any of the latest G Master lenses, or for that matter majority of the G Master lenses, they're insanely good. They are accurate, they're very smooth, they are fast, and they do lock on very well. I haven't experienced this doing any sort of hunting or anything like that, so if you've used any of them, you kind of know what to expect, especially if you have a newer Sony body that has the AI autofocus. It's insane. It's really good. You can use the facial recognition, which is what I do. I take a photo of my bride's face at the beginning of the day, so anytime it just sees that face, it just locks right onto her, and I don't have to worry about that for the entire wedding day, and it's great. It's like my favorite feature on any Sony camera, and it works extremely well with the G Master lenses, as it should. Right, the main reason why I didn't get really any footage in New York with this lens is because I didn't have an ND filter for an 86mm, and neither did B&H. They did have step down rings, but I didn't know how well that covered the glass, if they would cause vignetting or not. Some people have said it doesn't cause any vignetting, so that's good to know. I did pick up a step down ring just in case. I have a ton of 82mm filter threads, so we'll see. But I picked up the Nisi, I believe it's the True Color 1-5 stops, which has been awesome because I have a lot of the Peter McKinnon ones that are 2 to 5, and sometimes you get stuck in that awkward in between, like now I have to take off the ND filter in order to get the proper exposure, but then I have to step down to like f from 2.8 to like 3.2. So this just helps eliminate that little awkward in between because it goes to 1 stop instead of 2. So I've been really enjoying this filter. The color from it seems very accurate. It's been very nice, and it comes with that little, like, I was gonna say focusing tab, but just kind of like a little tab to kind of adjust how your strength is, and it's so much easier instead of just grabbing the whole lens, because sometimes I have accidentally touched lenses or the front element and now it's like smudged, and yeah, it's a whole thing. So there's not really like a lens review or a lens opinion without throwing in some cons. Obviously, no lens is perfect, no camera is perfect, so I will tell you the few things that like sometimes get annoying, but like also at the same time are not that big of a deal. So first one is pretty obvious. It's a 28 and not a 24, and sometimes when you're in video and you have the stabilization on, you're just a little tight sometimes, and if you had 24, that would push you into right around like a 25, sometimes a 26, and it would just give you just enough room. Obviously, if you've ever shot a wedding, you know that sometimes getting ready spots are not the biggest rooms in the world, so sometimes that can be an issue. I haven't quite ran into that yet, but I have a feeling like I might have a wedding around, so I might pick up the 20mm f1.8 just to have as a wide option to quickly throw on the camera, shoot whatever I need wide, and then swap back to this. That's just been a thought. So that's just, you know, something. If you shoot a lot of wide, obviously this lens might not work the best, but now this next one for me is a pro, but I know for some people might be a con. It's a pro for me because wide open at f2, this lens does have a little bit of softness. It's kind of noticeable at like 28mm, and I say softness because my wife uses the 28-70 from Canon, and that lens is like bitingly sharp, so much so that all the way open at f2, that lens will create a starburst effect, as to where this one gives a beautiful looking glow. I can show you a few photos of what that looks like. I don't know if it showed up in any of my video clips, but like, I love the way that looks. For video, I feel like it's a great like softness, and it's not overly sharp like some of the other Sony lenses can be. To me, huge pro. I like that look. Now I don't have to throw on like a pro mist or anything, but if you love like that really crispy, extremely sharp look, this might not be the lens for you. And the last con, and I think it's kind of like obvious, but I hate having to now order 86mm filters instead of having to use 82, but those are like little things that I can get past. Obviously, I buy one ND filter and that's kind of like done, but it would be fun to, and very convenient if it was just an 82. But obviously it wasn't that big of a deal for me because obviously I bought it anyways, and I've been using it, and it's been hands down my favorite Sony lens I've ever put on my camera. I can't highly recommend this enough, especially if you like more of a wide open look. I tend to. Obviously there's still times where honestly the 5 stops on this isn't strong enough, so there were some moments where I'm down to right around like 3.5 f4, which again on this lens is sharp. Don't get me wrong, it is a very sharp lens, but it's just not like the typical overly sharp. Like, I feel like it has a little bit of character to it, but it's still very clean, which is probably why it's my favorite lens I've ever gotten, because it has a look to it for sure. So sorry if you were looking for more of like a technical review of this lens. I know this is just a lot more just like opinion based. That's just how I roll. There's plenty of other technical like pages that show you charts and whatnot. You can watch those. Those are everywhere. That's not what my channel does. I would like to go out and use my gear and show you actual shots that I got and how they looked and how it performed while getting that shot. Obviously, it's still a honeymoon phase with the lens. It's brand new. I've only shot one video wedding with it. I have more to come. So with that being said, I'll see you in the next one, and hopefully I get more experience out of this lens so I can give you a more well-rounded review later on. With that being said, peace. Have a good one. See you later.